you fix the? You gotta finish fixing the main cam, dude. No. Well, it's not even relative to. Make it even relative to the table. To the people who. I just muted it like normal. No, you tried what you did. Print is done. Zero production value today. We have been absolutely useless. Hello, Twitter, and anyone else who's listening right now. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Veritas Road. Carson, back here with Murph. We've been trying to go live for like 2 hours now, but none of our equipment would cooperate, and we're all pissed. I mean, we're all cranky as hell. So there's that. I don't have a story this week again. I have a gripe because I've just been very frustrated.
Okay.
So one of the things that I thought about while I was at work this past week, because as previously stated, I work with a lot of middle-aged women. Nothing against that population, but the ones I work with are very frustrating. And one of the things I thought while I was at work, and these women are trying to talk to me, was like when I talk to middle-aged women, like I completely understand why God made Adam first. You know, like you just get it because. The whole biblical story is like God made Adam and then he realized, oh, he was lonely, right? What's the solution? Some bitch that doesn't fucking shut up ever, right? And so he made Eve.
Well, I'm sure.
And that and to keep Adam from fucking the goats, probably, because people do that in the third world countries, you know.
Good grief, man! That turned super graphic and bestiality. I can't hear myself. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. I don't even know how to respond to that. Yeah, women talk a lot, but what do you want me to say? I'm sorry.
I just thought that was an interesting thought. I get why God made Adam first. He's like, yep, this is my work, and then ladies next.
So you're saying that a woman is
an afterthought,
right, or is man's work?
I guess my
and
point.
God is like, hey, you want this? Here you go. You know, is that what you're saying?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's no way Eve was a middle-aged woman. You know, like there's no way Adam would have. You know, like there's no way he would have wanted.
Yeah, but they're not like
frumpy, like, you know.
Yeah, she was probably very, you know, I don't know, like 25 and very pretty.
Yeah, exactly.
But
middle-aged men are terrible too. To be fair, to like play both sides of the fence, middle-aged men are just horrible to deal with most of the time.
They're
all
pretty close to that.
I know. Yeah, which is upsetting.
Yeah.
But you know they all hate their lives. They go hide at work, so they don't have to go home and deal with their wife and kids. Like,
just get it all out.
It's not great.
Get it all out. I'm sorry you had to deal with that.
So it's okay. It's okay. John, is all our equipment working now? To the best of your knowledge, we're good. We're live on Twitter. We're getting sound. All right, it's been a hell of an afternoon.
It has been. Do you think like when Adam and Eve were made, you know, they were made as like adults, but they would be like 0. So when they're like 3 days old, but they're like fully grown adults.
Isn't
that weird?
Thought.
And like their 1-year-old birthday, they would have probably been like 26 in normal form.
Yeah. That's a good point.
That's strange.
That's the argument that a lot of creationists use for evolution. Is like, what if God made the Earth with fossils already in it? You know?
Well, that is kind of stupid though, because you have to make an adult to function as an adult.
Right.
Whereas, why would you just put a fossil that has no function just to trick people? Is that its function?
I don't know. That's the question.
I just think that that's an apple and orange type argument.
What do you mean?
Just the fact that God made Adam and Eve old, therefore he can make a fossil in the ground.
Yeah, I mean I guess I see your point.
The functionality of those things are totally different.
The idea is if the mechanism that God used for biology is in fact evolutionary in nature, then a fossil is something that would have existed in the ground given enough time. Thus, perhaps, as man was conceptually created with age, so also was maybe the earth, is the argument most of them will use.
Yeah, I mean, that's dumb, I think.
Why do you think it's so dumb? I don't think it makes no sense. Like,
dude,
I get it.
I mean, I think the earth was created just like the Bible says. It's cymatics, man. God spoke and it came into existence. If you look at mountains, if you look at all the features, it's like when you vibrate sand at certain frequencies, it makes stuff that looks like the earth from like massive scales. I think it's all.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
Look, if you look at sand on like a speaker, it's called cymatics. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, but that doesn't look like mountains.
It can, depending on whatever frequency it is.
I've never seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of sand on speakers. I've never seen that.
Well, and it's more like specific than sand on speakers. That's my Murray County way of summing it all up into one thing.
See, okay.
But
your backwoods,
that's
rural
right.
America way of trying to
that's right.
get your point across.
Of conveying an idea.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
evolution's dumb. So
just get it out there.
yeah.
All right, let's talk about the rest of the shit on the news this week, John. You got the Google Doc. I need to start printing these out so I have them in front of me.
We have multiple printers at this very house.
Yeah.
There's one in the closet. There's one in my room. You have a printer.
I have two.
You can go to
at my
work
house.
and you can print.
I don't think people. I'd probably get fired for the type of stuff I'd print at work.
You making copies of your butt on the copier?
That might get me promoted, honestly. Got a nice ass.
What are we doing here?
Documents.
Okay.
Today's been rough. See, I came prepared.
So did I.
Let's look at Merce first. Let's look at Merce article first.
Really?
Today. Yeah.
Okay.
Are you sure? Is that a bad idea?
I mean, it's a good one. It's a doozy.
All right. Let's see. What is it?
Germany has made a comeback. Black History Month may as well be a thing of the past. The Germans have turned conservative.
Explain.
All right, so they just had an election. Their conservative leader has won. And they said on Drudge that it was the highest showing of voters since World War II. And it was like 82% of people were like, I mean, this thing's coming back. Isn't this exciting? We all know where this goes. I don't know this Mertz, but are they going to be saying hi old Mertz soon? I sure hope so. This whole war, it's not just America. It's not just make America great again. This whole world is turning back.
Make Germany great again.
That's right.
Make the Fourth Reich great again.
That's right. And I'm excited for this. I'm excited for the white people in Germany. Look how happy they are on that picture.
I thought Germany was full of a bunch of like very lewd, over-sexualized liberals. I thought that's what the whole country was.
No, I mean, that's the people that are on TV.
Yeah, I guess it's not too dissimilar from America. Like everything you hear about Germany is typically, especially if it's like on TV or on a podcast or something, it's from like, oh, we went to Berlin or some other big city, and obviously that's where most your highest population of liberals is going to be. And so you hear about this over-sexualized, super like liberal, you know what I mean by liberal open culture.
Yep.
And so it makes it sound like that's the whole of the country. But can you imagine what a conservative, like, German mechanical engineer must be like?
Right. Living in the Black Forest, having, it's negative 40 degrees in the winter.
Yeah.
And they're brewing beer in their basement.
Exactly.
I mean, there's based people everywhere, and they have just made a comeback.
What's a German redneck like? What would that be like?
I don't know, kind of like, somebody like William Wallace, but German.
I guess, yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to imagine what they would sound like, but I'm having a hard time coming up with
honestly,
that
probably
impression.
pretty close to Hitler and his voice. Do you
Think
think
that's what a German redneck would sound like?
Probably. I don't know. I'm not from Germany.
So the Conservative Party in Germany is coming back. You're obviously likening it to Hitler.
Oh yes. Which is not. I mean,
are we allowed to say his name? Even are we going to get like some kind of community guidelines strike or some shit? I don't know.
A lot of people say Hitler.
Fair enough.
You can say Hitler if you're like, oh, you're a Nazi.
What? Fair enough. What do you think this means? Like on a global scale, because Europe's, I mean, super liberal now. And so, I mean, do you think that the tide is shifting? I know you're super, like, you tend to believe, oh, we're all kind of, like, the world is going to shit. We're all kind of screwed. Do you think things are shifting back the other direction? I mean, if this is happening in Europe.
Oh, I think this is more of a sociological trend than any kind of actual change. I mean, I don't know who this Mertz is, but I'm sure he's part of the club. You don't be running for the president of Germany or chancellor or whatever without being part of the club. I was just commenting on the social idea of people are sick of all this liberal garbage.
I mean, yeah.
And not just in backwoods Mississippi, but in Germany.
In Auschwitz.
Yeah, in Europe. And people are sick of their culture being taken away.
Yeah.
The West has been told for, 10 years now that they're dead. They've been pouring all these migrants in. Like, Europe's even worse than America. You think America's bad.
Right.
Europe's been taken down by all these displaced refugees from the Middle East and Africa and stuff. And these people have watched their culture die. And quite literally, in the case of Notre Dame, man, like, think about this. What are you doing right now?
Put my hood up.
You look like freaking Lobot from Star Wars. Those.
I think I'm gonna try this out today. Fun new look.
Well, you look ridiculous, but keep it up if you want to.
We'll try it.
But Notre Dame burning was like a symbol of the West dying, and then they, rebuilt it and it was crappy.
When did Notre Dame burn?
2017, 2018 maybe.
So not that long ago.
Yeah. It's been less than 10 years. So I think all Europeans are probably sick of that, and they're showing in force.
I mean,
basically kind of how, I don't know, I don't live in Europe, never been, but kind of how 2016 was. Maybe that's what's happening over there right now. Just fed up with it all.
I mean, 2016, kind of like how 2024 was. I mean, that's what we're experiencing here right now as well. And I mean, this is one of my articles, John, but that speech J.D. Vance gave in Germany recently was, I mean, very anti-liberal. Very. Did you watch that speech?
I'm not a big J.D. Vance fan, but.
Well, I know you're not, but John, can you pull up that article, please? I'm not sure which one it is.
I'm trying to massively multitask here.
You're doing great. You're doing great. I just wanted to beg you to. I don't actually know. So I should label these in future?
You have 2 YouTube videos. Which one did you watch first when you were making this list?
Just pull them up and we'll find out. But I mean, very.
Everyone's talking about the salt trick.
All right.
What is going on here? How is this allowed on YouTube?
What are you talking about?
That woman's like taking off.
Just a pretty lady taking her underwear off. What's the problem?
Oh my gosh.
So this is a speech he gave over in Germany, I believe. Is this the German one? I think it is. Where he basically just calls out all of the like violations of what I would consider to be just basic human rights that they're committing over there. All the people who have gotten like arrested for posting stuff on social media. He talks about a guy who got arrested in Britain for standing, I think it was like 50 feet away from an abortion clinic and like praying. Got arrested for that. And so he gave a whole speech to the Germans and the British people. I guess it was like part of the I don't know if it had anything to do with the European Union or what it was, but gave a speech here calling it all out. Just like click somewhere in the middle, John, and play for a minute. Listen to a little bit of it.
Follow the bumps.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what I'm doing.
Personal trip, and I've always loved the city of Munich, and I've always loved its people. And I just want to say that we're very moved, and our thoughts and prayers are with Munich and everybody affected by the evil inflicted on this beautiful community. We're thinking about you. We're praying for you. Protect free expression do not, in fact, grant, and I'm quoting, a free pass to do or say anything without risking offending the group that holds that belief. And perhaps most concerningly, I look to our very dear friends, the United Kingdom,
There you go.
where the backslide away from conscience rights has placed the basic liberties of religious Britons in particular in the crosshairs. A little over 2 years ago, the British government charged Adam Smith Connor, a 51-year-old physiotherapist and an Army veteran, with the heinous crime of standing 50 meters from an abortion clinic and silently praying for 3 minutes. Not obstructing anyone, not interacting with anyone, just silently praying on his own. And after British law enforcement spotted him and demanded to know what he was praying for, Adam replied simply, it was on behalf of the unborn son he and his former girlfriend had aborted years before. Now, the officers were not moved. Adam was found guilty of breaking the government's new buffer zones law, which criminalizes silent prayer and other actions that could influence a person's decision within 200 meters of an abortion facility. He was sentenced to pay thousands of pounds in legal costs to the prosecution. Now, I wish I could say that this was a fluke, a one-off crazy example of a badly written law being enacted against a single person, but no. This last October, just a few months ago, the Scottish government began distributing letters to citizens whose houses lay within so-called safe access zones, warning them that even private prayer within their own homes may amount to breaking the law. Naturally, the government urged readers to report any fellow citizens suspected guilty of thought crime. In Britain and across Europe, free speech, I fear, is in retreat.
All right.
And in the interest of...
Tell me that's not Orwellian as hell.
It is, man. Like, first of all, all that's terrible.
Yeah.
And nobody wants that. That's proof right there that all these governments, and it ain't just U.S., I'm sure they say the same propaganda all across Europe, that you have a democratic government where you're represented in X, blah, 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 blah. That's just not true. Because nobody wants that.
Right.
Right. So that sucks for that guy, so he can pray 201. What is a meter? Come on. J.D. Vance, convert that to yards. You're supposedly American, traitor.
It's like 210 yards.
Well, whatever it is, you know, why not pray at 201? If he'd have prayed at 201, would they had stopped him?
Then it's okay.
You know? Yeah, that's just dumb. But I don't know. I also have competing thoughts like, why is J.D. Vance over there? Why is he even over there? Why is this America's problem? You know,
I get that, but I don't think this is where we might have thoughts. But like, if we're gonna assume that the U.S. government is a legitimate entity, all right. Well, I don't think there's any problem with him going over there and talking to people. Right? We have global or worldwide cultures that affect each other, right? And so, like, I don't think that's necessarily it. Now, if he was like, we're going to go to war with you guys because you're insane, you know, that's another thing. But I don't think that's an issue.
I mean, why can't he talk to him from America? You know, I'm serious. Taxpayer dollars spent on his flight to go out there. He probably ate really nice dinners with everybody in Germany. How much do you think that trip cost? And America's footing the bill.
I guess that's true. Should Elon take a look at J.D. Vance's travel expenses?
Yeah, Doge, do it. I don't know. I just think it's like the globalization, call it that, has gotten so out of control that everybody just is starting to like retreat to their own foxholes. You know, Germany worry about Germany, Britain worry about Britain, America worry about America. We're sick of these conglomerates telling us what to do. Even this very idea, this Munich Security Conference. Munich deal with Munich. Why the heck is J.D. Vance in a Munich Security Conference and being publicized all over the world? We got our own problems 3 feet from our house. You know, I think part of the reason, and this isn't to discount any of the problems going on over there, but part of the reason that they're talking about all this is to get us outraged and more distractions from the fact that still what's really changing around here, you know, as far as the inflation and trajectory of the culture and just, you know, I don't know. I think it's more distraction, but I also emphasize with stuff going on over there, it sucks. But I mean, what are we supposed to do about it? Just complain about it? Talk about it on podcasts?
Right. I guess there isn't nothing to who do. That is their problem. To be fair, but along the same vein, I think it's nice to be aware of those things simply because, what are the odds that starts to creep into American culture at some point? And that's one of the things I have worried about off and on for the past decade, because you hear about all these super Orwellian things going on, especially in the UK, where they're making all these laws about what you can and can't say on social media, what is hate speech, what is cyberbullying. How long does it take before that kind of attitude seeps in to the way our society functions here? And it seems like on a more worldwide scale, people are starting to push back against that. But it was I was super concerned about it up until January. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say on a Western scale, people are starting to push back against that.
Right.
The Chinese and the freaking Indians, and they all just go along with everything. It seems like, doesn't it seem like that?
Well, Eastern culture is so much different than ours. You're talking about Western culture is very individual. It's very focused on the individual, right? It's very focused on if not the individual, then individual
Comedy,
families. It's not a communal culture, so to speak, where in school here you learn that you should do well at school so that you can get good grades, so that you can go to college, so that you can get a good job, right? In China, you'll learn that you should do well in school so you can get good grades, so you can get a good job, so you can benefit your family and your community. That's what they focus on. Whereas here, it's more about your individual trajectory as opposed to the trajectory of a community on the whole. Am I saying that China's... No, I'm not a fan of China. But they do have a more communal focus. Not even there, but pick an Asian culture.
Yeah.
Korea, Japan, India. It's far more focused on the family and the community at large than ours is. And, in a lot of cases, to their detriment. You see, the people who are flinging themselves off of buildings in China because they're so miserable. So, there's that.
Yeah. Well, just speaking to the West, we have a fundamental difference, at least they tell us, between America and then all the Europe stuff, and that's our Bill of Rights. That's why it hasn't totally fallen here, because ultimately that still trumps everything.
Trumps everything.
Yeah.
No
First and Second Amendment, right?
Do you think those actually mean anything, though? If somebody is going to violate your human rights as a person, is a document going to change anything? Everybody always talks about all the truth community, all the conservatives would always talk about hey, I have the Constitution to defend me. The Constitution isn't going to do shit if the government finally decides they're going to come to your door, and strip you of all human rights because they have the power and ability to do it, and people are willing to come to your door with guns and say, hey, you're going to do what I say or else, What is a document going to do about that?
All right, two things there. Number one, why hasn't that happened?
That is a good question.
Because everybody in this great country's got a freaking gun or multiple guns in their house.
Right.
That's literally the main reason.
Yeah.
They did. I've heard about this before. They did all their calculations. Could they take down America by force and be like, there's just too many guns? Guerrilla warfare. Everybody
would last forever.
I know. Everybody would just die. There would be just everyone dead.
Yeah.
It'd be like,
You'd have tons of people hiding in the mountains and
right.
the hills and the yeah.
Exactly. Number two, even the Constitution itself said these rights are endowed by our Creator. Or is that the Declaration? They're not given. They're not given by the Constitution. They're given by God. The Constitution just lists them down. They don't mean anything. God, and that's what gives us a right to defend against encroachment.
Yeah.
The Constitution just states that's just a statement of that. There's something that's inherent in every man that every man knows, and it's up to every man to exercise their right. Like the First Amendment auditors say, and it's a good saying. If you don't it's like a muscle. If you don't exercise your rights, then you won't be able to do it later because they'll atrophy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a president who had a quote about that. I don't know if it was it was somebody. It was
maybe
I'm
Reagan.
terrible with that. Reagan, John Adams, they're all the same to me.
But the point remains.
Might as well be the same to me.
That document doesn't give you anything, but it's there to serve as a constant reminder.
Yeah, I guess it just bothers me that people talk about the Bill of Rights or the Constitution like it is a defense in and of itself. And I don't know if it's the idea that this thing, exists out there separate and apart from me as an individual, and so it kind of gives people, makes them feel empowered. Is that is that a more accurate representation of the way these people are talking and thinking about it? I don't know, but I just wonder about the way people think about that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so, because it's like the Constitution as a document has failed, like as a legal document, right? Everything that the founders intended by the Constitution has basically been shitted on and crapped out the window. But what has remained is like this idea that came from the Constitution is like, hey, as Robert was saying, I do have these inalienable rights that the government can't even step on there, and that idea is what's kind of is the restraint that's kind of still active, because pretty much everything that the founders thought about the Constitution when they ratified the damn thing and gave it legal force, that went out the window by the end of the 19th century. So the only thing that's still holding it together is the idea of the Bill of Rights, and that is like, I have these protected rights that the government can't touch.
What do you think about that?
I would agree with that. Like the way the Constitution was originally set to work, that all died in the Civil War. We tried to save that. The South failed. Okay, but the idea that you can't come to my front door and take everything I have, you can't do that, because the ideals behind, like John was saying, the Constitution is something that can never die, right? You can't legislate that out of existence.
Well, if that's true, then why hasn't that happened in other countries? If the ideals can never die, then why haven't we seen that played out in Europe, in Britain, in Germany, in all of these countries where all of this weird Orwellian bullshit is going down? They've in Australia, they've all disarmed their populaces, their borderline police states. What the fuck is going on?
I mean, I don't know, man. Yeah. That it gets into the what was America when it was founded versus the rest of the world.
And let me rephrase real quick what I said. Is the Constitution as a legal document failed, but as a cultural document it hasn't. And that's the difference.
Maybe that is the case, is the culture here, maybe the individualism of our culture, is what protects us from some of that Orwellian nonsense. The draconian, crazy stuff that kind of happened in 2020.
Yeah, I don't have a definitive answer to that. You're basically asking, why isn't there American-type constitution in every single country? And I don't. Is that right?
Well, it goes beyond the Constitution, and I'm speaking more to behavior en masse in other places, because you would think people wouldn't accept all of the policing of, social media and free speech in Britain, or the insane lockdowns that happened in Australia, but they did.
Well, most people just accept the reality that they're given, right? And think about the reality in those places. I mean, I don't even know what it is. I mean, I don't, but what's the reality that we're given in America is that, hey, there was this Revolutionary War. We were founded on freedom. We exist to get away from that. So it's almost part of the propaganda, which is weird. You'd think that's counterintuitive to them, but maybe they're using us as a pawn, and as kind of a trailblazing path for the rest of the world. I have no idea, in summary. But I think it is tied to the way you were born and raised, and they're not born and raised like that overseas. As to why not, I have no idea. Sociological and cultural like trends, like who sets those? I personally think it's set from the top down, and why America is different is very interesting, because America is like a carbon copy of Rome, basically. It's like the military center of this entire world now. And Roman citizens always had higher value in Rome than everybody else, and they were always more educated, and you can kind of, and more individualistic, right? Whereas everywhere else is kind of more slave-like and more communal-like. And I'm speaking, in ancient Rome.
Yeah.
So the same culture can almost be seen in the world today. Hey, and the world views Americans like that. It's just, very individualistic, gun-toting freedom people. So I don't know. As to why that is, I have no clue, man.
Yeah. John, kill the computer line if you can. getting feedback. No, I think that makes sense. I guess the thing I wonder about now, and then we've stayed on this too long. We probably should jump to the rest of these news articles. But the thing I wonder about now is with the Trump excitement, which is great. The Doge stuff, the Elon stuff. Like, are we using the pathway into the hearts and minds of the heart of the populace that kind of protects those freedoms, right? The people in middle America who go to their job and come home to their safe of guns, who are all Trump supporters, right? Are we using this to kind of weasel in to their thoughts and try to push them in a direction that's more accepting of government and technological overreach? Is that what's going on right now? With all the AI insanity?
I think you're definitely onto something there. Doesn't Elon want to put like a smart robot to run your house in your house?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Those are super terrifying.
Yeah, why would people, and they'll market it as like efficiency and, you have to do less, you'll have more time to spend with your kids and blah, 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 blah. But how is that not a Trojan horse, man? How can... I don't know how complicated this robot can be, but it can at least surveil where you keep your guns. It could probably use algorithms and pictures and stuff and voices, and you can use AI to at least know where the guns are.
Oh, dude, we can already use, and we may have to have John pull up a video of this in a minute. You can use Wi-Fi to do that. If you have a device that projects a Wi-Fi signal in a room, that can be used to map the location of bodies and solid surfaces.
With like sonar or whatever, or like a light version of sonar, which is called radar, tiny radars. Yeah, I believe it.
They've developed technology that exists now to use Wi-Fi as a three-dimensional radar of sorts.
Right. Plus, that's something you know about. So just amp that up times 50 million with all the black budget Department of Defense stuff that they're working on right now. So
and so if you're walking around with a phone, which all of our phones can project a Wi-Fi signal. You're basically walking around with a little radar.
Dude, you know what that makes me think of? Everybody's seen Batman. At the end of Batman, like the Batman Dark Knight, with Heath Ledger and Batman. And Batman gets that like thing that Morgan Freeman built that basically like he sees everything in like echolocation.
Yeah.
It's basically that.
That exists.
Yeah. Well, that existed in 2012, right? You think that's just CGI?
100%. 100%.
That's I just introduced myself to a terrifying idea. Like, that might not actually be CGI. They might actually be revelation of the method showing us technology that they have. But it's like, oh, it's on a movie, dude, so it's not real.
Well, yeah, there is truth to that. But with that one, I don't even think it was a matter of, it's on a movie, it's not real. It's like, here's this thing. We probably already talked about it, but, like, here it is.
But you don't go into movies thinking, oh, this is, like, something they actually have. You think, oh, this is Batman. This is cool, dude. But it's science fiction.
I guess. I don't know. All right, let's go to the next one of these stories. Sorry, I know I got us off on a tangent there. I don't know where we even started on this. But, yeah. Look at this video of Bill Gates. Just something about this pissed me off. Bill Gates posted, "You can't let the Seattle snow go to waste." Like a silly boy, and he's throwing a snowball at the camera. That guy is so creepy.
Yeah, first of all, look at his tits, man. That is some androgynous, atrazine, disturbing monster, right? Baphomet monster right there.
Alex Jones would be proud of you.
Shout out to you, AJ. Bill Gates and Alex Jones both equals 33, so just saying. You could probably break down that sentence. What does that even mean?
He probably created that snow day. They probably seeded those clouds just because he felt like it.
I'm gonna have a stroke if I have to watch that one more time.
All right. Yeah, but I just wanted to.
What is he trying to come off as some kind of playful boy who's like?
Yeah. It's all a marketing campaign.
Yeah, it's
dude.
creepy, man.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Jeez.
I don't like that one bit.
Me either. All right. Let's go to. I don't know what order we've been doing these in, John, but whatever the next one is. A thief used a stolen card to buy a $523,000 lottery ticket, and the victim's pissed, and they want to share the winnings.
Well, heck, I would be too.
That's it. That's it.
Well,
That's all I
hey,
got on
this is a pretty good ethical dilemma.
what?
Is the victim entitled to that?
I don't know. They're for sure entitled to their money back.
Right. Well, but that's only like $2 to buy a lotto ticket.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what it is in French, these freaking euros and this gay crap, but
Is this in France?
yeah, look at all that.
That-
That is not English right there.
Oh,
Paris, AP.
Paris. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
But that regardless if it's a euro or franc or whatever the heck they have, some gay retarded stuff. Let's talk about it in Tennessee dollars. It costs $3, right, for a lotto ticket. Like I think
I
it's
don't know.
if you cash it's $2. If you use a card, it's like $3. I think.
I did not know
I
that.
think it's different. You're owed that. You're owed your card back.
Yeah.
But are you entitled to the purchases?
Yeah, is
'Cause
it like the concept of like if you go to a casino with a buddy and he loans you some money to play like a hand of cards and you win big, you know? Like you should probably give him some of the maybe not all of it, maybe not even half of it, but like if you win 10 grand, you know, and your buddy loans you like $500, you know, give him $2 grand back.
well,
You
theft
just got $8 grand out of that.
theft is not loan. Theft is not loan.
Well, I know, but I'm saying if we're gonna apply that logic to this, then, you know, they ought to they ought to give the person, yeah, give him 50 grand.
But
you know? Thanks for letting me use your card.
let's think about here. Let's try to. All right, so let's say somebody steals your card and somehow buys a house, you know, which you wouldn't want it. You'd call that fraud. But if it's something you want, can you just take it? But if you don't want, you just be like, okay, I don't want this.
I don't know. That's a strange thought.
Because if this person is entitled to the lottery ticket, well then you're entitled to the 55 Apple gift cards that this Indian bought with your stolen card. You're entitled to like groceries that they bought, you know? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't just pick and choose what you want with the fraud and what you don't want. So I would say that if you
Are they entitled to all the winnings?
yeah, you're either entitled to everything or nothing as the victim here. You either have to claim it's fraud and you want nothing and you get reimbursed by the bank and the bank lose your money, or you get everything that this person used with your card now becomes yours. Don't you think that's logical? You can't just be like, hey, I want the $523,000 that I won off the lottery, but I don't want like this aquarium that he bought at the local fish store for his, you know. So you can't just pick and choose what you want. What
You
you
either
don't
get it
want.
all or nothing. Is that
Right.
what you're saying? I don't know. The concept that comes into play there is like, would you have bought that lottery ticket? Maybe, maybe not. So, I feel like the reasonable thing is like, give him half, plus his money back.
Well,
Seems a lot simpler.
I don't know.
John, what would you do in this scenario? If I stole your credit card and I bought a lottery ticket and I won $100 grand, what would you expect?
I mean, I don't know why I would expect to receive any money. I didn't buy it.
That's
You
BS,
bought it.
John.
Well, no.
All of us would want the
I mean,
money.
I would want it, but I wouldn't understand
What a
logic.
bitch.
I wouldn't understand logically why I would be entitled to receive it.
Because I used your money. Your money was used to buy it.
Yeah, fraudulently.
Yeah.
So
Who cares?
nobody would get it.
You're a terrible American, John. You got to learn how to be more self-centered. Fuck off.
I guess so.
Go to the next story. Piss me off. Move to France.
We were just at France.
That's what I'm saying. Move to France.
Oh, John should move to France. I
Right,
thought we should
yeah.
move. Okay.
We shouldn't collectively move to France. Just John, since he's a communist bastard. Look at this. This bakery owner in New England, okay, had some students paint a sign, or not a sign, some artwork above his bakery. Okay? And whatever town this is telling him he needs to take it down because it's a sign of some sort of advertising. Scroll down, John. Where's it? Dang it. Oh, you're scrolling too fast. Go back up.
Bakery owner in New Hampshire.
All right, keep scrolling. Sorry. He said he was artistically offended for the students. I think that's hilarious.
I don't understand what the problem is. What's the
I
problem?
don't know. Keep scrolling. I want to find out why the city told him he had to. A federal judge is considering whether the town is infringing on Young's. Why did the town tell him he had to take it down?
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
The zoning board determined the painting is not so much art as advertising. If it didn't show what's sold inside, it wouldn't be considered a sign and could stay.
Okay, so
Why can't he have it up?
Okay, so the painting, they are saying that it is a sign for his business, and I'm assuming that their city code has a restriction on how large business advertising signs can be, and they're saying that because it's advertising, it's too large, therefore he needs to take it out.
What in the
that's
world?
what I'm assuming.
Yeah,
It's retarded, but that's what I'm gathering here.
Yeah, that's what it says there too.
At about 90 square. Okay, yeah, it's at about 90 square feet. It's 4 times bigger than the local sign code allows.
Oh, you know what this guy needs to do? All right. Well, first of all, just excluding the whole state national thing, he has no part of this corporate. Let's lay that aside. Let's play their game for a little bit. He needs to go to argue what the definition of a sign is. I'm serious. He
right.
needs to pull 20,000 signs and be like, this is a sign, this is a sign, this is a sign. Judge, are you going to set precedent calling murals a sign? You going to contact Merriam-Webster? You going to contact Black's Law? This ain't no sign. This is a mural. That's what I'd do. You got to define sign, and you got to drag it out.
Well, and the local judge said if it didn't depict, he tried to define what a sign is. He said if it didn't depict what was sold inside, it would not be considered a sign. But since it depicts baked goods, it is considered a sign.
Well, then that judge I'd take that to the appeals. He's overstepping his bounds. Does that judge have the authority to redefine sign for all of the law?
That, and also, what business do you have deciding whether or not I can put up a big ass if it's on my property?
Yeah, I know. I mean that gets into the whole. I'm just talking about playing their game. That gets out of playing their game. I mean, I agree with you, but if you're gonna play their game, you gotta be like, what the heck, man? You can't just claim this is a sign. You're just some random judge. Let's take this all the way to the Supreme Court. Let's let the Supreme Court decide what a sign is. I'm serious.
I would love to listen to that Supreme Court case. I don't even know who's on the Supreme Court anymore, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but you know that Brett, what is it?
Brett Baer?
No, dude, John, what's his name? Brett
Kavanaugh?
Yeah, Brett Kavanaugh, who was probably the same person as that woman that accused him of assault. And then there's a black guy, Clarence Thomas. I'm sure the ghost of Ruth Bader Ginsburg will always be there. It just inhabited some new demon. Anyway, that's a freaking mural. That ain't no sign.
I would tend to agree with you. The colors are similar to the ones on the sign. They're the exact same, actually.
See,
but
that circle right there is a sign.
Yeah, and the colors
Okay.
aren't the same at all, but okay.
yes, they are.
Yeah, they
John.
are. They're the same. There's
They're
red, blue.
That
and
middle-
yellow.
No, that's part of the triangle is part of the mural. It looks like the
Well,
sign
yeah,
is
there's-
that little white thing in the middle.
We know that, but there's freaking red, blue, and yellow in that little white thing in the middle.
That's
I agree with you,
okay,
Carson.
Never mind.
I
It's
agree with
not
you.
worth arguing. Just like this whole
We gotta-
entire art.
we
this
gotta-
entire
We got to decide what a sign is here and now, John.
This
this guy's
entire
depending on
this
us.
entire article's retarded, and it's making me retarded. So
Yeah, let's move on. I don't think I can handle much more of this. Oh my gosh.
The federal judge might listen to us and to make his decision.
Should we see if we can get a hold of him?
Sure. What?
Maybe
we
he's
prob-
listening
We
right
probably
now.
can, dude.
Hey, who ate my
We
double
need to
chunk?
do this. All right, but first, do you ever get on social?
Hey, who ate my double chunk?
Is America like are we
Hey, who ate?
stage capitalism enough? This country is just headed straight into the shithole, because I saw this on social media and I legitimately considered just killing myself right there, because if this is what the world's coming to, if this is what gets views, if this is what makes money, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to live anymore. It's over.
Well, let's watch it. What a setup for this.
Hey, who ate my double chunk chocolate cookie?
It wasn't me. It was him.
It wasn't me, it was him. Whoever it was better make me another double chunk chocolate cookie. Give me those.
Now we mix.
This is never gonna work. We need to go to Costco and get it.
I'm on it. I got the cookie.
He'll never know.
It's a double chunk chocolate cookie. Boom!
Wow.
Those people probably made an ungodly sum of money off of that video?
That is nihilistic. I mean, that's just the end right there.
Yeah, exactly.
That was not clever. That was not funny. What that was is just like low vibrational sequences to capture your attention. And I don't even want to know how many views that had.
This is what passes for entertainment.
I mean, that was just like the crappiest Vine I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, and I bet all the people that like that are freaking Gen Z, you know, just
They probably
just
are. And they're obese.
zombied out of their mind.
Yeah. Do you know how many of the people like that there are out there? People who just like review fast food. These just fat, greasy motherfuckers who sit in their car and lick seed oils off their hands while they watch like food porn videos.
Yeah, and then just do reaction to food review videos. My reaction to this guy reviewing this.
And they don't review anything good. It's new shit at McDonald's. It's Costco, whatever that chicken bakes or whatever. Like, what in the world?
Yeah, I feel stupider just for having seen that, and now my brain is foggy. So, thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I got really angry when I saw that, and so I felt like I needed to share it with you and anyone who sees this.
Trump should ban TikTok. Let's just ban it.
We did. He did for like 6 hours.
We'll ban it for
we
real.
Banned it for. We had a 6-hour TikTok ban.
Golly. All right. I gotta.
It accomplished absolutely nothing. What did that TikTok ban accomplish?
I mean,
Seems like something you would know, John.
my opinion on it is the whole thing is motivated by our supposed greatest ally, because I don't know if you guys know, but in probably like 5 or 6 months ago, there was this big trend on TikTok that was like sharing Osama bin Laden's letter to America after 9/11. It's
like a love letter? What did he write?
well, it was just people were a bunch of people were sharing it in like opposition to everything that Israel is doing to Palestinians. And so I would assume that the TikTok ban is motivated because there was much dissent.
Yeah, there was
to
free
Israel
Palestine.
Okay. I bet Dave Smith had some shit to say about that, didn't he?
Oh yeah,
I bet. Yeah.
all of them did.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. He's an angry boy sometimes.
I don't know who that is.
He is a comedian and political commentator.
Okay.
Yeah. Who claims to be Jewish, but also despises all the stuff that's going on in Israel, Gaza. All
That's
that
what
stuff.
they do. They play both sides, so I wouldn't trust him one bit.
Yeah. Ban TikTok. I'm for it. I'm for it. Get
What's
that shit
next?
out of here.
Dude, I need go on to something next. That really hurt my brain. We need something new.
All right.
Oh, that's another thing on X. Okay. Let's talk about this for a minute. Why did Fauci need a pardon? He did good work for the American people. He got us all to become sterile and have heart attacks, and I don't understand why somebody needs a presidential pardon for that. I feel like he's a good person who did good things, and I don't understand.
Yeah, the weirdest thing with that is that he never was charged with anything.
Right, yeah.
So it's got to, I mean, clearly this is just a propaganda stunt to get people to ask the exact same question that you are.
Oh, so I'm just a sheep? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, the dude's just a Masonic actor and a front for the, pharma companies and the higher-ups that actually profit. And now they're just throwing him under the bus and just distracting you with the fact that, Fauci's the bad guy, right? Biden's getting a pardon and Fauci's the bad guy. Problem solved. We've got the bad guy. Well, at least we know who it is. Meanwhile, they just keep making their infinite money. Nobody knows who the heck they actually are. Nobody cares because we got Fauci. And now all the attention.
Well, we didn't get Fauci. He's been pardoned.
Yeah, it's just a sleight of hand is what it is. I mean, does that mean Fauci's good? No. I mean, Fauci's the demon. But this doesn't solve anything or get us anywhere.
No.
Pardon
no one thought it would solve anything or get us anywhere.
Pardon or no pardon. It's not like, my point is this isn't revealing some truth to be like, if he's a criminal if he needs a pardon. No, everybody knew that.
Well, yeah, but I guess my thought is if we're trying to play the game, right? If I'm if I'm a pharma company who's trying to play like that, get your jab and, go on about your life game, these things are good, they're safe, they're effective, you don't question that. Trust the science. I'm not going to be super stoked about a document being out there and very publicized, right? With one of my main men from 2020 getting a presidential pardon to kind of point at him and say, you fucked up. I'm not going to be super stoked about that. I'm going to be pissed, actually.
Yeah, but I mean, that kind of, sure, it's not great publicity, but what's actually going to happen? Absolutely freaking nothing.
I guess you're right.
I mean, what is
depressing? But yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it sheds light on people who don't already have an opinion on this, but this is just a further cement the camp thing here.
Yeah, and is there anybody who doesn't have an opinion on this?
That's what I'm saying, dude. I mean, I doubt it. That's why this is useless.
Yeah, unless you were like born yesterday, you already have you're not changing your mind, one way or the other. You're probably not changing your mind.
Right. You're either Fauci is a scientific hero who helped everyone. If you're a blue-haired liberal and just gone, or you know that he's a scumbag. Even if you got the shot, people are like, well, he's probably a scumbag.
Yeah, right. There are a lot of people who got the shot who think he's a piece of shit,
yeah.
And that does make me wonder, though, like, what's the point of all of the propaganda if everything's already super divided right now anyway? Like, who's the propaganda convincing? It's only cementing people more in their viewpoints. And what's the purpose of it? Just let people get, pissed on their own time. Why we
well,
what's all the propaganda
it's
for?
divide and conquer. It's to keep people fighting with each other so they never go after the actual problem. Hey, what would actually stop Big Pharma? Quit funding Big Pharma. How do you quit funding Big Pharma? Well, you got to go after the bank. It all goes back to like the very nature of the system itself. And they got to keep you away from that by giving you these scapegoats and giving you these news stories and getting people riled up and be like, hey, we got them, or hey, there's nothing to see here, just to get people feeling emotional like something's happening. This is just a gigantic, like spinning hamster wheel where nothing's actually happening, while over here the machine's just rolling and continuing like nothing's changing, because that's what it is.
And that's what worries me about all this, like, Trump Doge stuff, is all the people who I would tend to agree with, about their, political and social views are all like, hell yeah, Trump, Elon Musk, shit's getting done, we're trimming the government, fuck yeah. Are we, though?
Yeah.
Are we,
Like,
and maybe we are. Maybe Musk is actually going in there and cutting maybe that's actually happening. But I have a hard time believing he's actually like Ron Swanson, actually trying to like topple the beast. I don't believe Mr. AI is doing that at all. He's not doing. He's out fucking 18-year-olds or however old that girl was. He's out putting rocket fuel in bitches. That's what he's doing right now. Okay, he's being a busy. He's not trimming anything, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's all. I mean, good Lord, that was.
Got a little excited there. Sorry.
Yeah, the concept is totally right. He ain't doing crap. None of them are doing crap, in my opinion. It's all basically the same idea as this pardon. Get people riled up, get people think stuff's happening, say all kinds of good stuff, even announce some truth,
Yeah.
But ultimately, the machine runs, the eagle flies.
Talking all this shit on his platform.
Do you really think it's his platform? This thing,
I don't know, man.
This thing is government run. They all are. One man can't build this kind of infrastructure. That's part of the propaganda that keeps people bought into the corporate soul. It's like you can just work your way up from a garage. Well, if your garage is freaking Masonic Lodge with your burning effigies and 20,000 candles wearing KKK robes, maybe you can. But you can't get this. You can't get this kind of stuff naturally. Okay, Elon Musk is a front man for these deep-seated government contracts, government-backed money that just creates these mockingbird-type operations on the people. All right? The only way to really affect change, our boy Thomas Jefferson laid it out a long time ago. It's freaking overthrow the government with violent force. It's called rebellion. That's the only way anything's ever going to change, in my opinion. We are long past the point of diplomatic solutions. That ended when the Federal Reserve was made. All right, they've taken control of our money supply. Once that happened, the only
there's crypto now.
Once that I'm serious, dude. Once that happened, the only choice left is rebellion. They screwed us when that happened. That bank should have never existed. Any kind of like systematic way to solve the problem died when the Federal Reserve was made, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, I think you're right to some degree, but I think it's people's choice to continue to engage with that system that keeps it going. That thing starves if people disengage from it.
Yeah,
It's like, I don't know if you, Sal the Agorist. We actually follow him on Twitter. He's big into the idea of like the Agora and disengaging from, the current money system. I think he's a big crypto guy, but like disengaging from the current monetary system and trying to build something separate. And I realize that's like borderline impossible, right? In the world and culture we live in. But like it is technically a thing that could be done.
Yeah, I'll address that, dude. On an individualistic scale, heck yeah, do that. But what happens if everybody does that? There are people that live on food stamps that are just brain dead, and that, what do they say? We're like 9 meals away from complete societal collapse. That's what will happen, because not everybody is in a mental and spiritual state to even do that. And if everybody disengages, it's chaos.
That's interesting.
It's an inverted order that's happened, right?
What is the moral obligation that the masses have to the people who are on food stamps, who like cannot contribute? There are some people who obviously get help, who could contribute to society and provide for themselves. There's some people who just can't. So do you think there is a place for compulsory aid to those people, which is what we have now, supposedly, according to the government? You pay taxes. Those taxes, a portion of those goes to the people who need to be helped. Or is that purely the scope of like actual charitable work by individuals, by benevolent organizations like churches and such?
Yeah, I mean, you know how I feel about how centralized everything is. I mean, I never should have gotten to this point in the first place. The idea that a totality of people, like, just this whole idea that we have all these different classes and that X class is supposed to help this other class, that whole concept, that's too big to even entertain, in my opinion.
What do you mean? You lost me there.
Like, take the however many people are in the like white collar class. Is it their obligation to help, either through government or through huge nonprofits or through church? Is it their obligation to help the underclass? And what I'm saying is, just even asking that question is a flawed assumption to begin with. Just these ideas of centralized groups that can encapsulate everyone. Heck no. Break it way down to a way more local scale. Just the idea that there's a white collar class in and of itself is not right. It is an inversion of how you're even supposed to think. Right?
I don't understand how that in and of itself is problematic. There are some people who work office jobs. There are some people who are welders. I don't see the issue with that.
I'm saying is affect your own local sphere. I'm not part of any. You shouldn't be a part of any kind of sociological class, and be like have any kind of obligation to that. You are yourself, right? You are responsible for your own actions, and you're responsible for, like, when we're getting into ecclesiastical law, to do what God expects of you, right? There is no system. There is no. There should be nothing generating that except your own will to do what God wants you to. It shouldn't have anything to do with any kind of class. If somebody needs help in your own local sphere, you should help them. I don't know anything to anyone on a group scale.
I think that's why people prefer it on a group scale. It's
right.
That personal responsibility that's very uncomfortable, especially when it comes to, the numbers in your bank account.
Yeah, it's way easier. It's way easier just to write a check to the Red Cross for $500 if there, you see an ad on TV for all the damage on Hurricane Helene, rather than to travel there to get your chainsaw out, bust up trees, start handing out water to people, all that kind of stuff. It's way easier just to, get a tax break for that as opposed to actually do something.
Well, and the time investment too.
Yeah.
It's massive if you're going to actually try to make a difference in someone else's life. A singular, pick up a single person. If you're going to make a difference in just that one person's life, the time investment is outrageous. Especially like if you have a job, if you have a family, good luck. You're not going to have any time left.
Yeah. So
my mom does that for a lady. The lady capitalizes like half of her week. One woman capitalizes probably like 20 hours a week of my mother's time.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that's my point. Is like the system exists to perpetuate that kind of helplessness, and the idea that we have any kind of obligation to that system just because people rely on it is totally backwards.
Helplessness is an interesting topic because, that's one of the argues against socialized data of any kind, is learned helplessness. Is there a place for charity, given the fact that it is not uncommon for people who receive charity to think, oh, well, I can't do anything for myself now, thus I rely on this,
Yeah, there's always a place for charity, but there is no place in my mind for any kind of systemic charity.
Well, sure, but point is, like, if you give Billy, if you settle Billy with bills for 2-3 months, is that going to affect positive behavior later down the road, or is there a better way to approach that?
Well, yeah, I see what you're saying now. Like,
because
ultimately, one, you have to set boundaries for yourself. If you're negatively affecting yourself and your things that you value, then you got to set boundaries. Eventually you're going to have to cut him off. 2, you're not responsible for his actions, right? So if he doesn't learn to better himself with the kindness that you've showed him, then eventually, and I don't know if you could ever quantify when you would shut that off. But yeah, you're totally within your own moral right to shut that off. You're not responsible for his actions. He's responsible for himself ultimately. And if he doesn't take advantage of the good opportunities, then that's on him. That's between him and God. You've got to protect your own interests. And that doesn't mean you hate him. That doesn't mean you don't love somebody. But that's part of learning to love yourself, too. You can't just constantly give away all your resources and be exploited.
Well, that's what's so difficult about personal charity is the pathos of the thing is very difficult. If you have the means to help support somebody for X period of time, or maybe indefinitely, right? But you want them to be better. You want them to be able to develop the will and the ability to care for themselves, right? Making the move to cut somebody off like that is, it sounds cold, heartless, horrible.
But it's not, though, man. You can't help someone who won't help themselves. Do you think even Jesus,
unless they're retarded,
even Jesus would probably eventually do that? Don't you think? Don't you think? And he said that to his disciples. It's kind of related. Shake the dust off your feet if they're not willing to change. You can't just enable someone forever. You can show them kindness. They reject the kindness. You shake the dust off and walk away.
Yeah.
And that metaphorical dust could be the aid you were giving them, the attention, the energy you were giving them.
Right. I just think that's why people are so much happier letting somebody else decide that. Not that that's a good thing, but I think that's probably the main reason.
Yeah, and that somebody else is a satanic evil system that oppresses all of humanity. It's not just like you're letting your grandpa do it, pawning it off to your local church.
Right.
Ultimately, it all runs through the corporate top.
Yeah.
Oh, and the core of all of it is, relationships. Is like you want to help Billy, you have to know Billy.
It's
right?
true. That's true.
The kind of welfare state deprives that, and it takes that out of the equation, and now Billy's just a number on.
He's a demographic.
He's a demographic, and he's some number on some bureaucrat spreadsheet.
Good
right,
point.
which is, in my opinion, probably more cold and heartless than the other situation y'all were talking about, because it's like there's nobody who actually knows Billy. They're just funneling money to him, and he's just a number. So it's like cutting him off is almost a little bit. That whole system is a lot colder than maybe I know him, and maybe it gets to the point to where I'm just an alien. I have to cut him off and leave him to his own devices.
Well, also, and to your point, like the welfare state doesn't provide enough capital at any one point in time for anybody to claw their way out of any kind of hole they're in. It doesn't provide enough of anything conceptually for anybody to really better themselves. You'd almost be better off like living under a bridge and being homeless and working your way up from the bottom than you would suckling on the teat. You make a good point.
I'm just saying it's the cancerous growth of it has been so much since the establishment of the central bank that it's eliminated. But for the underclass, okay, and I would define that as inner city poor people who like literally live on food stamp to food stamp, tax return to tax return credit. You know the kind of people we're all talking about.
Yeah.
That there is no way out for those people.
There's not much
for them to survive. The system must survive.
Yeah.
And
vice versa.
Right, and exactly, and if the system goes down, it turns into the zombie apocalypse with those people, and they come after those that have. Right, and that's the whole point with the whittling of the middle class. Like the whole idea is why this is still going with inflation and stuff is the haves and the haves not. That gap is widening. And when that gap widens to X, you can literally build impenetrable forces and be untouchable.
Damn.
We're not to that point yet.
That's really depressing.
We're not to that point yet, but we're a whole lot closer to that point than we were in 1951. And in 1951, it was a whole lot worse than it was in 1883. We've said this before, and I'll say it again. That's how we know it's not human. This timeline is taking place over multiple lifetimes. That's how you know there's a Ephesians 6:12 spiritual warfare going on.
All right, I want to kill myself now. Anybody else? All right, let's move on to the next article.
All right. Well, we sure got off of Fauci.
Yeah, that took a turn. Took quite the turn.
I'm going to blame you for that. Did I
start
do that?
at the top, John? Just fucking start at the top.
Oh, yeah, Mike Adams, dude.
Who's that?
He's the health ranger.
Ah. Look at this. This is terrifying. A California-based company is moving into Texas, and they're using drones to just drop stuff in your backyard.
Dude, I've seen this company before. I've seen it on like the slow-mo guys were like advertising for them, and they were like filming their drones. Yeah, they can just like, you want something from Walmart, a drone will just drop it.
It's freaky.
Johnny, hey, go to YouTube real quick, and just type in like slow-mo guys filming drones. What's that? We're in studio.
There you go.
Type in slow-mo guys film drones. Oh my gosh.
He types almost as bad as you, bud.
Dude, type it like slow-mo is wrong, very wrong. And you didn't even type guys. Slow-mo guy.
That's off.
He still hasn't spelled slow-mo right.
There. Okay.
Piss off.
Is it that one?
Well, that's it's on their actual channel. That's like the guy from MythBusters. Oh, that one. Yeah, that one right there. That's it.
This video is sponsored by Wing.
Hello, I'm Gav. Welcome to the Slow-Mo Guys. You've joined me on an abandoned runway in the Californian wilderness. Today we're filming with a company called Wing, who specialize in drone delivery, and we'll be doing some lovely slow-mo experiments of drones crashing, fighting the weather. Will the drone stay in the air? Who knows? Adam Savage from Tested is here.
Doing this in the desert.
Why aren't people shooting those things down? You'd think, like, Grandpa is going to take a 12 gauge and go out there and shoot that sumbitch out of the sky.
Well, they're probably flying higher than the range of shotgun, at least until they drop down, right?
Good point. Yeah, I think you have like a 400-foot ceiling as far as like how high you're allowed to fly a drone according to the FAA above ground level. So like.
So what does that mean? As long as it's below 400 feet, you're good?
Yeah.
And, there ain't no...
I'm an FAA licensed drone pilot.
You are, man. You have to have, like, the greatest shot in the world. Probably hit something at 50 feet, so...
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
there's definitely a buffer where you're gonna be fine.
That just freaks me out. I don't like that idea, because they could just drop a little pipe bomb in my backyard, and how would I know? You just do that.
Yeah, I've seen this before. It's really weird. Everybody should watch that Slow Mo Guys video. They interview the CEO and stuff, and he talks about their capabilities as a company and how much they've grown and what they're planning on doing. It's crazy.
I mean, if you're a 5-year-old, you're gonna think that's the coolest thing in the world. If mom orders stuff from the drone company, that'd be cool as shit.
Dude, if you're a 25-year-old normie, you're gonna be like, "This is awesome. They got drones that'll just drop stuff."
Right.
Yeah. Well, what if they got drones that'll drop hand grenades when the government finally turns against you?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's freaky. All right, let's move on to the next one. Let's burn through these. I'm getting riled up.
But hey, but shout out to Mike Adams. He used to be an InfoWars guy. He's really started to come around on some of the important.
Building your online business? Go to Wix.com and set up your store.
He shows up at this meeting, meeting.
Who else is here? Well, President Milei has a gift for me.
Javier Milei from Argentina. You guys know what that is, right?
Goes and grabs the change. That's what he told me to do.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy. Chainsaw!
What else is he going to do with them? Take his chainsaw.
All this gold at Fort Knox. It's the public's gold.
What is guy? He's wearing.
It's your gold. So, I think you have a right to see it.
You want to take a tour?
Yeah.
Show. No telling what's written on that shirt under his
So
jacket.
weird.
You know what's crazy, dude? And this is the nugget that I was referring to earlier.
I love it.
You know when? So, I think Vivek tweeted this when he was still part of Doge.
Before they kicked him out.
Right. Doge's last step is to delete itself.
That makes sense.
Right. You know when it's scheduled to delete itself? July 4th, 2026.
I mean,
isn't that
America?
Isn't that pretty weird?
What's weird about that?
Well, the weirdest thing about that, and this gets into a whole nother topic, is I'm sure you're familiar with Tartaria.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
And one of the theories of Tartaria is the fact that what we call Tartaria was the millennial reign of Jesus Christ. Okay. And at the end of that millennial reign, Satan was unleashed to roam the earth for a little while, like it talks about in Revelation chapter 20.
Okay.
A lot of people extrapolate that, like when that little season began, like the end of Jesus' reign, the beginning of the millennial reign of the little season.
July 4th, 1826?
No, July 4th, 1776, which is capitalized by the Statue of Liberty, which, is actually a statue of Lucifer, and there's like released change at the bottom of the Statue of Liberty's feet. Now, 250 years to the day after that will be July 4th, 2026, which a lot of people would be like, hey, a season is a fourth of a year, right? And if you treat the millennial reign as the year, then Satan's little season is a fourth of that, and it's up July 4th, 2026.
And it's also up in like a Chicago World's Fair style event that they're hosting in like Iowa or something.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Doing like a bicentennial or whatever.
Buy and a half. Just call it buy and a half.
Buy and a half celebration in what is literally like a Chicago World's Fair style event.
Yeah,
like massive thing.
Trump wants to bring
creepy.
back the World's Fairs.
I heard about that. Yeah.
And they're going to tie it into the celebration of America, right when Doge is ending, right when it kind of lines up with the start of all of this. And I think we can all agree at this point that the start of all of this is not what they tell us it is.
I fucking hate doing this podcast.
So, man, isn't
really
it crazy, dude?
That is. That's wild. That's
can,
insane.
And you can tie it into all the Roman stuff. I mean, heck, we got evidence of this in Tennessee. The Roman and Greek architecture from the Tennessee celebration still exists, and that just adds to the Trump is Caesar type mentality. You know?
Yeah, it's like the fucking Parthenon.
Yeah, that's what I was referencing.
Isn't that just a replica of the Parthenon?
No, dude. The
It was
Parthenon,
built about like on a massive like celebration. They tore all the other shit down.
allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah.
Right.
Really?
Right.
Yeah, it's a World's
I
Fair.
did not know
it's
that.
A World's Fair
No, it's
type
not a
thing.
World's. It is a
Well,
World's
it's
Fair.
type thing
All
where they
right.
tore all the buildings down.
Tennessee, 100 years celebration, 1896. They built this whole park. All right, the Parthenon was like the centerpiece of the park in front of the Capitol.
They built. Wait. They built the Parthenon in the 1890s.
Yeah, 1896.
I thought it was built in like the 1950s or something.
No.
All right. Proceed.
Yeah, but they've torn down all these other structures, but they just like the Parthenon so much that they left it. It's weird as heck.
That is weird.
It fits
That's
into
strange.
all this, Tartarian world buildings crap, all this Roman crap. Who knows what actually happened? But now that Trump is openly doing the same thing, and the government's going to delete itself, the final step.
Not the government, just Doge.
What
right?
Isn't Doge supposed to cut government efficiency and then cut itself?
Yeah.
I mean,
what does it have to do with the government?
Should cut everything because it's the government. It's not efficient. I don't know.
See your point.
I definitely taken that too far, but it is weird, man. You got to admit that's weird.
That is weird.
And
I'll give you that.
You've got this AI crypto king heading over everything, and this great reset tying in with all this crazy Roman stuff, where you've got a Julius and an Augustus in waiting.
Yeah. And the stuff with kicking Vivek out, man. Something about that weirds me out, because Vivek's all about like personal liberty and that sort of thing, and we don't like that. We're done with him.
I mean,
kick him out. Let him be governor of fucking Ohio or whatever. You know,
he did say white people were lazy.
He's not wrong. Have you met me or anyone else who lives in our town?
I don't know. You know how I feel about Mr. Vivek Patel. I'm not a big fan.
His name's Ramaswamy.
Well, I mean, whatever. Just leave it at that. Whatever.
I think he has a lot of really intelligent things to say. The thing I don't like about him is that little Weasley fellow got his start with Big Pharma, and that I'm not fond of. He worked at a hedge fund, and then he like either bought or helped buy a portion of a pharmaceutical company that like I think they took over researching drugs that big pharmaceutical companies were like, we don't want to pursue that anymore. They would take those over and try to finish the research to push them through like stage 2 and stage 3 pharmaceutical trials. And that I don't like that.
Yeah, all of them have that background. No matter how wholesome and healthy you appear to be, you get that high, you've done some bad crap to get there. I don't trust any of them. I mean, who do you think's going to betray Trump? Somebody's got to betray him. There's got to be a Cassius and a Brutus. Maybe it'll even happen at this event.
Vance and Elon?
It's got to be Elon, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Super weird. All right, we got any more articles? Have we done making me want to die? Be real depressed?
Lottery, bakery, retard, Bill Gates lives at I think we've gone through them all.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, we have another Bill Gates one. That's the last one.
There's another Bill Gates one?
Yeah, you put 2 in.
Oh, yeah. Bill Gates posted this. One thing the world could always use more of. Hope. And then it's a picture of just a fuck ton of solar panels. That's it.
That's a link to an article.
Oh.
It's an NPR article about climate change.
Never mind. I thought it was just a photo. I did not spend a long time looking at that.
Wow.
A new climate change report.
Look how old this is, and look what time it came out.
Oh my God.
Well, Eastern. That doesn't make no sense. Never mind.
What in the world are you talking about, John?
It's a long day.
It has been a long day. I just hate Bill Gates. That's really all I wanted to say. Again, I looked at his Twitter feed today, and I just got real upset. So, and just to make a point, like solar energy, great. You know, it's convenient if you can afford it. But all these people who want to play like they're somehow morally superior in saving the planet for using solar energy are fucking retarded. How do you think those things are getting made? Where do you think those materials are coming from? Right? Yeah. There is a plant producing an outrageous amount of greenhouse gases, okay, that are going to be bad for your environment.
Not even that. Not even the production.
And there are a bunch of slaves working to build and harvest the shit that goes into those.
Yeah, that's where your real, like, environmental damage is happening. It's like mining the freaking lithiums for that crap. You know, they're just pillaging the earth and leaving it in ruin. Just look at freaking Afghanistan, North Carolina, all the stands just get screwed.
The stands in North Carolina.
But yeah, man, it's so Orwellian.
Yeah.
You know, just that picture and the geometry of that picture. You know, just to say, oh, this is hope, and it's just this bland, right angle, just looks like a gigantic computer chip, solar chip farm. It's just hopeless and desolate, and to call that hope is just total nightmare. He's just a demon.
Yep. Ending on a positive note, folks.
Yeah, all right. Are we resorting to scrolling through Twitter now?
That's what John's doing
No,
now.
so
He got bored. All right. I don't know. I feel like there might be a little gap in all the stress here for a little bit. Some wild shit happening in the government, but I feel like folks might get a break for a little while from all the insanity.
Oh yeah.
So that's good. That's positive.
There'll be a time, you know, of peace before the tribulation, right?
Yeah. Before Caesar comes in.
I don't know what's gonna happen.
So, all right. Well, we're gonna do 2 today, and get one out about your land and some new shit we're gonna try to do.
Yeah.
But we're probably not gonna get to that because it's already late for us old people. Today, but we'll try to do that another time.
We'll have to ring that in next time.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try to I guess, we can talk about that. I'll be doing a live stream every Tuesday starting either this week or next week. Not sure when, and then we'll talk about yours when we film it.
Right, yeah, tentatively on every other Friday, but
yeah.
we'll worry about that in the future.
Yeah.
But more content coming.
Yeah.
Thanks for all our listeners and supporters. Mostly
all
on
5
Twitter.
of you. Yeah.
Well, it's mostly on Twitter.
18 right now.
Oh, well.
So.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, we get 3 views on our shorts on YouTube. But thank you, Twitter. Thank you all.
Yeah,
and
love you guys.
Next week we'll be on Rumble. So.
Right. Yeah. All right. Bye.
Don't make promises you can't keep, John. We just spent 5 hours trying.
That's a good point.